Our phones have access to thousands of games, but back in the day, handheld devices were much more primitive. They only had access to one game, and that game was a snoozer. Where was I? Oh, right. Anyway, along comes a company called Atari, which is Japanese for hit the target. And boy, did they hit their target with the first handheld game console with an LCD display, the Atari Lynx, which is Japanese for hit the target Lynx. It came with a launch title called Chip's Challenge, a top-down tile-based puzzle game created by Chuck Sommerville in just 10 weeks. The graphics were pretty basic, the music was just alright, but the core game was there. But in 1995, Microsoft took the family computer by storm with an insane pack of games, introducing the best of Microsoft Entertainment Pack, a collection of 13 insane games that made up some of my earliest and fondest gaming memories. We got Tetris, Free Cell, Pipe Dream, Golf, Ski Free, which genuinely made me scared as a kid. I'm not even joking about that. Jazzball, which I have no jokes about, and an upgraded port of Chip's Challenge. So, what's the deal with Chip's Challenge?
What's the deal?
So who is Chip? Chip is this dude, who I always thought looked like a baby in a onesie as a kid. Now Chip wants to join the elite Bitbusters Computer Club, run by some manic pixie dream girl sounding girl named Melinda the Mental Marvel. She sounds kind of messy, but my boy Chip wants to hang. But in order to join the Bitbusters Computer Club, he must reach the end of Melinda's magical clubhouse. I'm talking 144 levels of pushing dirt, monsters, cherry bombs. Chip, buddy, is she worth it? How hot is this Melinda? Yeah, I'd fold. Yeah, definitely. So let's boot up this Intel Pentium processor and start gaming. Now the first thing you're hit with is this excellent soundtrack. I mean, are y'all hearing this? Is that Thundercat on bass? If you thought that was good, wait until you hear the other track. Do you hear the whimsical nature of this bouncy ragtime track? I was playing with one hand and snapping my fingers with the other. A lot of people don't know this, but there was actually a secret third track in the game. We'll talk about that later. The sound effects were also incredible. I don't know how a few milliseconds of audio can be such a nostalgia gut punch, but Bummer.wave is exactly that.
Bummer.
Good times. So every level has a 4-character password, so you can skip around if you know what to type. The game was also not colorblind friendly. To this day, which I guess is how colorblindness works, I can't tell the difference between the yellow or the green keys. I actually used to play with the color off so I could identify them by the amount of dots next to them, but I'm not going to subject you guys to that. I'll figure it out. So the whole point of the game is to just get all the chips in the level. And once you do that, you complete the level. There's also these dirt blocks, which was always kind of frustrating because you push it into the water and then you gotta push it again, but don't hit it a second time because Chip can't swim without flippers. This kid just drowned. You gotta watch out for these spiders, they'll kill you. I don't know why, I always thought this was such an aesthetically pleasing sprite. There's also items you can pick up. If you get the flippers, you can swim. And if you get the ice skates, you can walk on ice. And if you get the flame boots, you can walk on fire. And if you get the sticky boots, you can walk on these without having them push you around. One of the most iconic levels is probably Castle Moat, level 18. It starts off with you in this area, and then you see it. The moat. And the castle.
Wow.
You gotta use a little bit of imagination. And the only way to get across is to start pushing blocks. Anyway, this is very boring. It's not the kind of game that lends itself well to a video, but something you put on when you had nothing to do after school. Now maybe you listen to a podcast while you play. Now, throughout your journey in this magical clubhouse, Melinda speaks to you in special dispatches. But the way they're implemented is you just see them all in the game's help section. They're not actually in the game. But don't worry, if you need help using help, they got you covered with a how to use help section. The dispatches provide like additional lore to Melinda. Level 23's dispatch says that the blobs in the level are from a genetic experiment that didn't go right. Yikes. Level 26 tells us that the paranecium is Melinda's pet. Weird, you ever hear of a dog? Level 36, Cypher, says that this is one of the most important levels. That's interesting. Level 39 is crazy. It reads, "Dear Chip, if only we lived in a more perfect world." That's dark. The bad news is, I posted 12 terrible monsters here to guard my chips from spies. What is this chick cooking up in the lab? My advice, be ready to run and know where you're running to. That's kind of bars. Anyway, level 131 isn't very interesting, and 133 says she's back on her genetic engineering BS, which is crazy. This chick sounds messy. Finally, there's a special dispatch for level XXX, Force Field. It says it's a level so high, it doesn't even exist yet. It's her force field laboratory. Wow. Some of these later levels are pretty brutal, borderline masochistic. Level 109 is called Torture Chamber. This one caused me a lot of rage moments as a kid. It requires precise epic gamer reflexes to complete. Level 134 is straight up called Pain. It takes 15 minutes of tedious input to complete this level. One wrong move and you gotta do the whole thing over again. Sorry. Finally, we get to the final level, number 144, Fireflies. Now, I couldn't actually find details on how you would find this, but if you type Tony into the level select, you get a secret level 145 called Thanks To. This level just like plays itself and lists off all the people who worked on the game. That's pretty nice. But wait, we never saw the level Force Field. So how do we access Melinda's Force Field laboratory? Well, back to level 34, Cypher, you remember that one. One of the most important levels. If we zoom out, they're actually level codes. And the bottom one, JHEN, takes you to level 146, Cakewalk. Beating that level gets you to level 147, Force Field. Finally, we're in Melinda's Force Field lab, and this level is brutally hard. It's often mentioned in the Chips Challenge Hall of Fame. One player even left their computer on overnight because you can't save mid-level. If you manage to get past Force Field Lab, there's another secret level, Mind Block. But it's actually not that interesting, it's just like a long level. But after Mind Block, we reach the true final level of Chips Challenge, level 149. Special? They couldn't think of like a better name than Special? Anyway, pretty difficult but aesthetically pleasing looking map. And after completing that level, we get an animation of Chip filling up the screen. He pumps his fists. Victory! Chip holds up a very large computer chip and is hoisted in the air by the rest of the Bitbusters Club. Wow. We joined the club. We got the girl. What an ending. Now, the game has a bit of a cult following. There have been thousands of fan-made level packs, the latest of which was actually only released a few months ago. After the success of the first game, Chips Challenge 2 was developed over the span of 2 years and finished somewhere around 2002. But the original publisher, Epix, went bankrupt in 1989 and then sold the rest of the company to Bridgestone Media in 1993. But Stone Media refused to release Chips Challenge 2 unless Chuck could pay them some large sum of money he couldn't afford. What? So, the game was shelved. The game had a legend status to it for over a decade, and fans were making level packs just to have new content to play. Chuck ended up working on a game called Puzzle Studio, which was apparently just Chips Challenge 2 but with different assets, keeping it all legal. He eventually dropped that project, and probably for good reason. You can find a download of the game, and wow, look at that. That looks rough. Chuck wanted to keep this 3D thing going, though, and started working on Chuck's Challenge, a spiritual successor released in 2014. It was a mobile game that doesn't seem to be available anymore, but Chuck's Challenge 3D is available on Steam. However, after 5 years of negotiating with Kidney Stones Media, Chips Challenge 2 was released on Steam in 2015 to positive reviews. In this game, Chip is back, this time teaming up with Melinda for some puzzle action created by the Puzzle Master. But that's for another time. Yo, thanks so much for—
Wait, Safe!
Oh, hey, Mr. Bags.
You forgot to play the secret third track to Chips Challenge 1!
That's true. Let's hear the song. I think this is just the first track. Yeah, this is just the first track. Oh shit.
Yo,
Bummer.
got the chips keeping it real challenging. Bitbusters are the best, no practicing. Melinda, mental marvel, gonna give me brain. Collecting chips, fat stacks, gonna make it rain. I don't need no practice, forget all the spies.
Bummer.
Breaking records, even beat 145. Melinda, mental marvel, gonna give me brain. Collecting chips, fat stacks, gonna make it rain.